Hello there. It's CJ Miller. I'm in my apartment in Shreveport, Louisiana. Across the Red River is beautiful Bossier City, Louisiana. And, um, I want to invite you to come check us out anytime. Always fun things to do, and I'd love to show you around. If you get here and can't find anything, you let me know. Okay, so, um, I'm here with my painting, and this is kind of a river scene or a water scene. I feel it's going to be a river scene. There's going to be a, a momentum of flow. And I feel like what I want to do is I want to kind of cheat with this a little bit. And I want to kind of start with and come over here. And I don't mind these brush strokes, taps, really. I started out just kind of stroking it, and then I've realized, oh my God, it's creating what I don't want to do, or it's very, very long. It's not lifting it, it's not letting itself be reflective. It's creating long strokes, it's creating long, solid lines across a surface that is liquid. And that would not work. So, what I want to do is I want to let me dip my brush here. I'm terrible at organization sometimes. It's like that's kind of cool. It's like, what do I want to do? I need to maybe I just have this old tin here right now that I'm using. But this is the size brush that I've been using. I have a couple of brushes, but they've both been used before. Uh, and the reason why I like using it's a little bit too much paint on the brush. The reason why I like using a brush that's already been used is, for one thing, it's frugal, but for number two, if it pulls a little bit from the color that's already on the brush, all the better, because it gives a little bit of tonality to it. Because what I want to do here is I want to create a little reflectiveness of what's going to be some sunlight coming onto the uh, moving surface here. But what I want to do is I want to create it in a way that I'm giving, you see how I'm creating more of an angle coming down this way, so I'm kind of letting it look as if, you know, I'm kind of creating everything motion coming down towards this, even if it's not a solid line, I'm letting the design and the color kind of create that. And then also focusing very hard right in the center of the canvas, because that's where the eye is going to be drawn here. Maybe not immediately centered, but and then I can come with this light and come a little bit, and I decided it's okay to be a little bit outside of the line when it comes to a horizon, because this is a translucent paint that's barely gonna be noticed in small quantity. And what it'll do is it'll lend itself to a little bit of a, you know, kind of a passage from this area to this area. And basically what I want to do is I want to make sure whoa, so I don't have this clamped up here. And the reason why I don't have this clamped up here is I'm working closer to the bottom of the canvas. So I want to be careful on that. Let me come back. Let me do a little of this work, and then I will come back and talk to you about what I've done. I need two hands for this. Okay, here we are, back after I've done some stuff. So I did this fell and I got a smudge there, but that's okay. That's going to be before the product is finished, before the canvas is finished. That will be well incorporated into what's going on, or either um, well covered up or well incorporated. That's fine. Okay, the this is through a light, right? What we're seeing. But I want to do some light feathery over some of the areas where the paint may be thick. Because what I did was I put the light down, the yellow, which is this is a translucent yellow. It works for me. While it's a nightmare to create a yellow sun with a translucent, it is great to create a reflective surface upon something that is shimmering and even moving. You know, it's great for this kind of stuff. And the whole idea is to create a reflectiveness upon a moving surface, and that's going to bother me until I get it taken care of, but I know that I will. And now, in the original video that I took of the Red River, there was a lot of this crystalline whiteness coming across that was the very bright, and it wasn't like a specific sun, it was just the light of the day reflecting across the ripples within. But like I said, that was that was an inspiration. That was a point of inspiration. It was something for me to start from, and it was a place for me to, get direction and then go to wherever I'm going with the story that I'm telling on this canvas. And so it doesn't have to be a specific photo copy replica. If that were the case, I may as well just, screen cap what was happening and just do, market the picture that was taken versus, a painting. And I'll be back in just a moment after the click. Now, this is a point I want to talk about where we have to work very, very carefully in particular. We have a fair amount of, change in tone. What would you say is missing? Certain kind of detail that could kind of make this pop a little bit, give it some dimension, bring it a little bit more off of the canvas, and also recess parts of it back onto the canvas. A little bit of contouring, or what we'll call shadow. Now, I have ivory white on this. I don't know why it's called ivory white. It seems ivory black, actually. I don't know why they call it ivory white. It seems a bit oxymoronic to me, but in small bits here and there, it can help create. But this is where I say we want to work gingerly, because once this gets on here, whereas the yellow is very translucent, this black, which is all the colors kind of piled together, all the tones kind of piled together in great density so that a lot of light does not pass through this particular spectrum of color, then what happens is we get shadow, we get depth, and so we're gonna kind of glaze across and use that just here and there, give it the occasional, playfulness upon the canvas. And we don't want to be, too gratuitous with this. We want to remember that what we're doing is we're creating the occasional line. It's okay to be, the harder we press, we're going to get stuff like that, which is okay once in a while. But really what we want is just we just want some of this to maybe kiss down upon it, you know? And if we were at this point to create, because what if we get in here and try and scrub it off with our fingers or whatever, then what's going to happen is that we're going to end up with something that's a bit more smudgy than we want. We want to avoid dots and we want shadow. We want motion. So these are some stronger points. And then from here, we're going to gradually kind of bring these out and make these into gentle lines versus harsher dots. And it's going to create a little bit of surface. And it's okay to have these colors, these different tones be interrupted by the hue of the blackness. See, black, light and dark are hues. The specific colors, the reds, the yellows, the blues, they are your tones. Black, gray, white, brown. They're not truly colors. They are intensities. They are hues. So you want to think of hues. When I say hues, I'm not talking about Hugh Hefner. I'm not talking about Howard Hughes. I'm talking about intensity of the tone. And the tones would be red, blue, yellow, green, your violet, your purples, your chartreuse, your mauves. So you want those, the primary, secondary, and tertiary colors are there. Even in the whitest of white and the blackest of black, they are there. But they're either being completely whited out or they're being completely darkened by how light or how intense the hue is. The hue is the intensity of the color. So I hope I did any good in explaining that to someone who's maybe not familiar with those terms. Sometimes it's a little hard to grasp. Okay, I'm going to work a little bit more with this. I'll see you after the click. Okay, so hopefully, as we can see, even as this is still not a photo perfect, this is, an expressionist view of what the surface of water might look like. We're still getting an idea of surface. This is not minimalist, where basically it's just one swipe of blue and a swiggle of light and then a blank sky. That would be your minimal. Your true minimal might be just a horizon line, a curvature to separate the two areas, and then nothing else. That might be the greatest example of minimalist work. But what I want to do is, so you talk about how, and this is the same dab of shadow that I've had on the brush, where it was heavier. Here, what I did was I put those little areas that were going to be darker and more affected bits of shadow upon the canvas in the dabs and the areas where I needed it to be a little bit stronger. And then once I started working, then I could get lighter. You see what I'm saying? There's less amount on the brush, even though it's still here. And then I can sort of work in creating some shadow where I need it to be to create to play around with, uh, where I want shadow to play along with the light upon the surface of this water. And then the more detail that I put upon it over the next few sessions that I'm working with this, uh, the more the more detail is going to be brought out to the viewer. And then there's a secret to art. How it's highlighted and lit when it's being displayed matters. The vantage point matters. You want to consider from what angle it's going to be consumed by the viewer, and then when you get here and you get an area where it's like too much of the one, just kind of bring it in and blend it a little bit together. But anyway, and then the more I work with it, the more detail is going to come out with it. It's basically just like doing trees or just like doing clouds, if you need more, press down more on the brush, and the less color you get on the brush, of course, the less crisp your lines are going to be. And so it's just, I pushed hard enough there to actually move the canvas, see? So, and then later on, if I need to come back in with a really, really fine-tipped brush, then I can really get into some detail there. But the whole idea is, you see the difference between what looks like very, very dabs, and then where it can look like smudges. The thing about a painting is that you don't really, if you want to get up close and study the technique by which a picture is taken, that's great. But like checking out something under a microscope, you're seeing things in such detail that you don't see from a distance. And when you take a wider, further back view, then you see things kind of come into focus and things look a little differently. Wow, is this in focus? Hold on. There we go. Where the further back you look at something with the painting, sometimes the more clear the story is. And in this case, or like any other case on canvas, when you get and you study it, you're not actually seeing the story of the picture. You're looking at the technique. So we are far from finished with playing around with this. We have a lot of other colors that we want to put on this canvas. I am still messing around with the water. Can you imagine what it's going to be like when I play around with some other areas? And I don't even know the full scope of what's going to happen here. I know that I've got various colors laid out. These are just samples of acrylic paint that I've had from some other work. So this is not even like these are not even like fresh supplies that I'm working with, but I'm having such fun with this, And this all started for me going through some old YouTube videos and coming across this video that I took from Bossier looking across Shreveport at the surface of the water. And it was as much of that view that I love. And I was doing the video about whatever my love of my area in which I live, and I do love it. It really was some of the captivating light playing upon the surface of the river that really grabbed me and that kind of inspired me to start this painting. And until next time, I wish you all love and light. Peace. Good night.